Every day I see more kids with their lives just being ripped apart by the drug and alcohol abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like a growing problem to me. I was just wondering what your thought is on that as a problem.
Yeah, well, you know, the president and I and the others of us in the government just had the University of Michigan data came out that has been tracking youth attitudes and to include drug use since the early 1960s. And not unsurprisingly, there was good news and bad news. The good news is that 80% of young people like you, if you take the whole group from about age 10 through 18, are not using drugs and never did. The bad news is drug use among young people has doubled in the last 4 years, particularly marijuana use. I believe we've got to give you a credible message on why you shouldn't smoke cigarettes, abuse alcohol, or use illegal drugs through the age of 20. And the only reason we use the age of 20 is if you turn 21 and you're still not doing any of those three behaviors, the chances are overwhelming you will never in your entire life have an addictive problem. Young people don't have problems, adults have problems. And what you see around you, the way your parents and the people you admire behave themselves, is a tremendous influence on your life. And so clearly parents have a responsibility to set the example and to talk clearly to their own, to the young people they love about what they've learned. And so parents who have had an exposure to illegal drugs or who have had a problem with alcohol need to talk bluntly to their own children and say, look, this didn't work, it's a mistake, it's a danger. But at the same time, you know, from about the age of 7 on, all of you aren't going to get any smarter. You're only going to get more experienced and perhaps more educated. But you're pretty smart people right now, and at the end of the day, you gotta make your own decisions. And
a major problem in our fight against drug prevention and alcohol prevention is that many parents lose sight of their responsibilities and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they're at the parties and they're serving the drugs and the alcohol, and they think by doing that it could actually help things because, you know, they're there and they're seeing that nothing bad is actually happening.
Yeah.
But I think that by doing that, they're kind of saying that it's okay to do that.
Yeah.
And
when you're developing, you're in this incredibly important part of your life, using alcohol, smoking cigarettes, and using illegal drugs is flat wrong. It's harmful to you. And so if your parents say, well, I'd rather have you at home drinking alcohol, or I know they're smoking dope in the basement, but at least they're here, that's not very straight thinking. I feel the same way at university now level. It's going to be very tough to keep drugs and cigarettes and alcohol away from young people. At the end of the day, and one of the reasons that I think your effort is so incredibly important, at the end of the day, you'll tell each other what you really think your future holds, and you'll make your own decisions. When you wake up in the morning, what are you really interested in? And almost any answer is okay except nothing. You know, if you talk to a young person and he or she says, there's nothing to do around here, there's nothing going on at all, and there's no excitement in your life, there's no passion for sports or horses or books or travel or friends or affection. I mean, if your life's empty, drugs is a great substitute. You asked about heroin. For shock value, I talk about what heroin does. If you're watching one of your friends using heroin, they'll tell you they're in a state of euphoria, of intense pleasure. There's a movie out called Trainspotting that talks about this. Very powerful movie. In my judgment, probably a pretty good movie to look at. And now you're hearing he or she talk about euphoria, and you're seeing a friend who's got enormous nausea, their skin is itching, they're constipated, they've lost their sex drive. That's what heroin's doing as you see it. And then they get addicted, and then life is an endless misery trying to find heroin, not for fun, but to push back on pain. So